Hello, sports fans. I thought I'd make you a video just to show a few things different about SQL coding. For those of you that done coding in other languages, used the variables, if statements, and case statements. So this is for you. Um, so other languages use dim or dimension. Uh, or I use public shared, or there's different ways to declare a variable, but declare is the term used to declare a variable or an array. We'll get to arrays sooner or later. But each variable has this at sign in front of it. In fact, input parameters and variables have this at sign, and it's above the 2 on the keyboard, and that's how you know it's some type of variable. So you can declare the variable, give it a data type, numeric, and varchar. I guess you could, let's see, we could declare at you can have a bit variable. That's yes, no. And date time, we could use date time also, and we'll use those. So most of the class here, we're going to just insert, update, delete, select, but we're going to definitely use case statements, and then we're using if statements, so we better talk about if statements. So like you've been exposed to with the customers, adding a customer. If there's a customer with this first name you want to add and this last name you want to add, if there's already a customer with that name, you know you can't add that again. And I realized there can be 10 different Mary Smiths, for example. So it would have to be Mary Smith and zip code and some maybe even something else to ensure we don't have duplicates. One of the big things about databases is you don't want duplicate rows, just like you don't want to be in the WSU registrar system or any billing system. You don't want to be in there twice and get double billed. So, but we have different variables, int, numeric, and varchar. I would recommend, I would just play in here, but I would recommend using int in a database environment only for an identifier like product ID, employee ID. If you used like number of products sold, int as an int, saved it as an integer variable. If you use that column as a denominator in some type of formula, it won't calculate the decimal places, and then you're in trouble. So just use numeric for all numbers, and you'll prevent other problems. So we're going to use int, numeric, and varchar bit, which is your Boolean yes, no, true, false. 0 is false, 1 is true. Or you could just type the word true would be 1. True actually would be in single quotes. So if we went back to that again, declare, how about married, bit, and you could say true. I think you could put 1 in there too, so 1 would be true, but I usually just type it out, true or false. But it is saving it as a 0 or 1, actually, internal to SQL. It may render it, show it as true or false, but anyway, just want to mention you can declare the variable and then set its value, or you can have a set statement, just like if you've been looking, I have set statements here. So you could say set at age equals 35, and then you could say print at age. And so you have to declare it before you can set it. So you have this messages tab, and that lets you see the messages. So you can declare it and then later use a set statement. Or you could just declare it and give it the value. Up to you. I suppose this is more common, the set, because you don't really know the values. And anyway, most of the time we're using input parameters, so you wouldn't declare the input parameter in the store procedure and give it a value at the same time. That you would just use it as we've been using it, input parameter, and then you supply those values when you execute it. So this is different type of coding that we're doing here. All right, so you would declare variables of 5 different data types, and they all have to have the @ sign. I would not put any spaces in there. You just probably won't work, yeah. And again, numeric 62 means it's 6 digits total, 2 to the right of decimal place. I guess that leaves 4 to the left of decimal place. So let's go ahead and put this in, and then we'll just run this code and just playing around a little. Had a typo there. This is an if statement in SQL. By the way, if you want to highlight, if you highlight code, that's the code that'll run when you hit the execute button. So a lot of people have a lot of code on one page, and then they just highlight whatever section they're working on and run it, rather than have 10 of these tabs. They just have one and then have sections within it. So if state is Oregon, so here's an if statement. That's our test condition. And in other coding languages, it's if test condition then. There's no then in SQL, and but there is an else, but there's no end if. So there's no then and there's no end if. So if that means anything to you, then I guess just kind of accept that, please. That's just the way SQL is made. So if test condition is true, then run everything within the begin and end. And once you get a little complex in your code, it's a very good idea to have these begin and ends. So I'll just leave those there. And so it's if test condition begin and then do this, and this could be 20 lines of code and then end, and this is the only code that would run if the state typed in is Oregon. Else, which means the state typed in Oregon was not Oregon, so the test condition equates to false. So if it's true, do this code. If it's false, skip down to the else and do this code. So let's go ahead and run that again. And so this person is from Oregon, so we get this print message, "Hi, Oregoner." So please email me if there's a better way to say somebody from Oregon. And here's the concatenator in SQL, a plus sign, not an ampersand. And this print statement is text, so you have to convert these points, which is numeric. You have to convert that into an nvarchar, because the whole thing is text, and nvarchar, variable number of characters, that's text. So go ahead and convert the points to nvarchar and concatenate that to this other bit of text here. So how about if somebody's from New York? So run that code again. And it shouldn't say "Hi, Oregoner." It just says "Hi there," and so it ran this code. So that's your classic if-then statement, but there's no then and there's no end if. It's if test condition begin and end, and there can be a lot of code in there, and often. And by the way, if it's true that they're from Oregon, it'll run line 8, line 9, 10, 11, 12, and then it'll jump out of the if statement and the else and go to the next thing. So it'll never get to this line 14, 15, 16, 17 if the test condition is true. If the test condition is false, it'll start here and it'll never run this code. So it's either or. Let's just take a quick look at, so there's concatenation, there's an if statement, there's local variables for you. Here's case statement. So you don't use case as you for program flow. You use case when updating or selecting data or maybe deleting data, but it's not like you can say case Washington, then run this 20 lines of code, case Oregon, run this 20 lines of code. Use an if statement for that. You could say if, else if, else if, else if, else if, or just if, and then another if Oregon, begin, end, and then if Washington, begin, end. So you can just have a whole bunch of if statements. You can get tricky with, else statements or else if statements, but in fact, let me show one of those to you. So I just checked, there is no else if in SQL. You use case for that. So let's take a quick look at a case. So you're going to use case to put different values in a column, like update set. Okay, well, case, they had less than 20 sales, then put this value in the column. Case, they had more than 20 cells, and write this into the column. So you use a case statement in an update set and an insert and in a select, not really for program flow. Sorry. So here's an example. Declare a variable Idaho. So when Idaho, then 100. So if we change that to Florida, we should get 125. Okay, I'm not a liar. Oregon. But this looks quite different. Case, and then the thing you're evaluating. So this is still our test condition. Like we're evaluating that and then doing different things. So an if statement is kind of like you stop at the stop sign. You can go left or right. There's just two options, left or right. Case statement is like some of these streets in Europe, and you come to a stop sign. You can go 4 different directions, and I guess it would be a traffic circle, and you could just jump on and get off, and good luck with that. So there can be many when then. So by the way, if Oregon, so the select case would run line 21. It would check, hello state 2, are you Idaho? Nope. Okay, let me check. Oh, Oregon? Yep. Okay. And then so this code would run line 20, 21, 22, 23, and then since we found a match, it would jump to the end. If it was Idaho, this is up here, Idaho, then it would run line 20, 21, 22, and then jump right to the end because it found its match. So that's just a little bit different. When, then. So case, test condition, when, then. This else is optional, but you have to have an end. And then usually, since this is a select statement, we're going to give it an alias as total. And so now we should have a header here. Well, okay, that's enough for one day. See ya.